Moving on to other stories, the federal government has declared its readiness to work closely with the judiciary and legislative arms of government towards addressing the shortage of judges of the Supreme Court. The Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, gave the assurance on Tuesday during a valedictory court session in honor of the late Justice Chima Santos Onweze at the main courtroom of the Supreme Court. Correspondent Kolujo reports that Fagbemi, who was represented at the court session by the Solicitor General of the Federation, Beatrice Jedi Agba, said it was glaring to all the Supreme Court that the Supreme Court is overwhelmed by backlog of pending cases and is known as one of the busiest Supreme Courts in the world.
We are all aware that the Supreme Court is currently overwhelmed with backlog of pending cases and appears to be one of the most busy Supreme Courts in the world. This administration is quite mindful of the continuing sacrifices of our judges and justices and is prepared to take on measures necessary to improve the welfare and working conditions of our Lord Justices. This is particularly so against the background of the increasing workload of the court vis-à-vis the severely depleted number of the justices of the court.
In their respective remarks in memory of the late Justice of the Supreme Court, the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Kayode Ariwola, Attorney General of the Federation, Lateef Fagbemi's son, and the President, Nigerian Bar Association, Yakubu Meikiao, described late Justice Onweze as a detribalized Nigerian who had contributed immensely to the judiciary and Nigeria at large.
As human beings, we all have our individual entry date and exit date from this world. Like William Shakespeare put it, life is a stage, and each one has his or her role to play, after which he quits the stage permanently. There is no rehearsal, and there is no practice on how and when to die. We die once, and that ends the sojourn here on earth. No one can spend a moment longer than the time permitted by the Almighty God.
We are all aware that the Supreme Court is currently overwhelmed with backlog of pending cases and appears to be one of the most busy Supreme Courts in the world. This administration is quite mindful of the continuing sacrifices of our judges and justices and is prepared to take on measures necessary to improve the welfare and working conditions of our Lord Justices. This is particularly so against the background of the increasing workload of the court.
His Lordship made very significant contributions to the growth of our jurisprudence and helped extend the frontiers of our legal landscape. His Lordship's decisions were legally sound, with strong logical foundations, a testament to the amount of hard work that went into every one of them. His Lordship was also a master of words. With practiced dexterity, he weaved English words and phrases, sometimes laced with Latin, to lucidly drive home points in very interesting and memorable ways.